Hey everyone, Erick Stakelbeck here. Today on the Newscast, will it be a long, hot summer in the Middle East? And how will it affect you? Get all the details coming up. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. As you know, I'm coming to you from the United States where I am based, and it is a very difficult time in this country right now. Needless to say, we've got civil unrest from coast to coast. We've got the fallout from a COVID-19 economic shutdown, and all coming in an election year. So Americans like me are fastening their seatbelts right now. I can assure you, it looks like it's going to be a very bumpy ride over the next few months. But what about the Middle East? What about the world's most chaotic and pivotal region? We are going to get into that today. Before I do, I just want to encourage you to subscribe to the Watchman Newscast right here on YouTube and click that notification button so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Of course, we're bringing you the newscast every Tuesday and Thursday, and we're also bringing you clips from our 30-minute weekly Watchman television show, which you can catch on TBN and the Fox Business Network. So be sure to subscribe and click the notification button. Okay, let's get into it. The Middle East, a powder keg right now. Are we looking at a long, hot summer in that pivotal region? I think we had an indicator the other day of that powder keg type atmosphere. We had a showdown, I guess you would say, this week along the Israel-Lebanon border. Now, Israeli troops on the Israeli side, Lebanese troops and Hezbollah on the Lebanon side. We also had, I suppose, UN peacekeeping troops do whatever they are supposed to do, which isn't much, it seems, along the Israel-Lebanon border. So there was a very tense situation there. There was a face-off. No shots were exchanged. No hostilities broke out. But it was very tense. And again, Hezbollah was lurking because southern Lebanon, as we've told you many times here on the newscast, is Hezbollah country. They effectively control that entire region, which borders northern Israel. Translation, powder keg. And what could set it off? We could see, God forbid, a Hezbollah sniper or someone like that take a shot at an Israeli soldier along the border. That could spark something much broader. Hezbollah, remember, during their last very, very hot summer in the Middle East, 2006, when Israel and Hezbollah went at it, that was all started when Hezbollah, with a severe miscalculation, kidnapped 2 Israeli soldiers along the border. Now, Hezbollah apparently, and Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, the Hezbollah leader who's been essentially hiding in underground bunkers ever since 2006, he said, look, we miscalculated. We did not expect the overwhelming Israeli response to the kidnapping of 2 Israeli soldiers. I don't know why he wasn't expecting an overwhelming Israeli response, but admittedly, in Nasrallah's words, he wasn't. This time around, if something like that, God forbid, happens, Israel means business, folks. We've told you here about that coming Great Northern War. Many times we've told you here on the newscast. We're giving you updates as it looks like we build towards it. Again, a question not of if, but when. That could be sparked again by it kind of looks like a minor incident. It could expand things. And that Great Northern War, again, will have Israel facing off against the Iranian regime in Syria and its proxies in southern Lebanon, Hezbollah, and in Syria, various Shia militias. A very bad scene up there. The Great Northern War is what we've called it. It is coming. Will that, God forbid, break out this summer? We don't know. But needless to say, it is a very tense situation up north because the Iranian regime, there are signs, by the way, that the Iranian regime has been pulling some of its assets out of Syria, where Israel has hit them very hard because Iran has been hell-bent on establishing a base on the Golan Heights on Israel's doorstep to the north there in Syria. But it hasn't changed Iran's strategy, its goals at all. Look, they continue, and they're going to continue during this summer, the summer of 2020, which we're talking about today. They're going to continue to try to push, along with Hezbollah, to push onto the Golan Heights. That is literally at Israel's doorstep. It's an existential threat that Israel cannot accept. That could be the spot. Hey, we're talking about southern Lebanon being the powder keg situation that could spark the massive fire. The Golan Heights could be the spot as well, because Hezbollah, no matter how many times Israel has taken out Iranian and Hezbollah assets there on the Golan Heights and sent that message, drawn that red line, Hezbollah and the Iranian regime, with help from the Assad regime in Syria, by the way, continue to attempt to establish that foothold on the Golan Heights. They're clearly not getting the memo. They want to duplicate what they have established in southern Lebanon with Hezbollah. Okay, so we're keeping an eye, obviously, this summer on the north, and that could break out. I hate to say it, folks, that could break out at any time. And remember, right now, the United States is obviously very distracted, not only by the COVID-19 situation, but by this massive civil unrest going on from coast to coast. And I can tell you right now, the Iranian regime, Turkey, China, Russia, they're all very happy about the unrest happening right now in the United States. And they've made statements essentially saying as much and kind of crowing about it and saying, look at America now, so weakened and so divided. When the leader of the free world, the United States, and that is the role we have played since World War II, the leader of the free world is divided and distracted and weakened, then the world's worst actors are going to try to take advantage, especially in the Middle East. Think about the vacuum that was created in the Middle East. Back in 2011, under the Obama administration, the pullout of all U.S. troops from Iraq much too soon. That vacuum was filled, number one, by ISIS, and number two, eventually Russia came down in 2015. Iran obviously spread its tentacles and expanded its power and reach across the region. All of that happened during the Obama administration, during a short span, particularly during more the second half of the administration, the last 5 years or so of the administration under President Obama. All of that unfolded rapidly, right? The rise of ISIS, the rise even stronger of the Iranian regime and Hezbollah and those various radical forces, the rise of Russia putting its foot back in the Middle East in a major way. By the way, they're still there. They haven't left Syria. So all of that happened when a vacuum was created and the leader of the free world did not act like the leader of the free world. Now, the United States under President Trump, I believe, has made very strong moves in the Middle East and has made the right moves in the Middle East by and large. But if the United States is distracted, if the Trump administration is distracted with internal problems, then there is a chance that the bad guys will try to run wild, take advantage of the distractions in the United States, and push the envelope in a very dangerous way. That's not a good thing for Israel, because the Iranian regime, seeing the United States distracted, could attempt to take advantage. So definitely keep an eye on those four players, Turkey, Iran, Russia, and China. All of them are making some very provocative statements about what's going on in the United States right now. All of them have expansionist ambitions. China in the Pacific, Russia in the Middle East and beyond, obviously Iran and Turkey also looking to increase their influence, their presence, and their control over the Middle East. So a long, hot summer looks like a very good possibility. We also have, look, in Gaza, a Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. It seems like every few weeks, maybe even every few days, they're starting things up again, firing rockets into southern Israel. Who knows what could happen there? Gaza is the constant powder keg in the Middle East. That's also a concern. Also, folks, keep an eye on two more things. Number one, the internal situations. We talk about discord in the United States. The internal situations in Iran and Iraq. Iran has been racked by civil unrest for months, really years. That seems to flare up in a very major way every few months or so. Keep an eye on that inside Iran. In Iraq, there's a lot of divide as well, Sunni, Shia, as well as Iran with its nefarious influence inside Iraq. Obviously, Yemen is another powder keg with the Houthis. Syria, Assad has basically won the Syrian civil war, but continues to be unrest and violence there for sure, and a lot of death still continuing. And Lebanon, big economic crisis right now in Lebanon, not to mention Hezbollah, obviously. They were also hit hard by COVID-19. And by the way, what's the theme in the four countries I just named? Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. All of them are under the Iranian umbrella. Wherever the Iranian regime goes, chaos follows, and that's what we're seeing in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen right now. Also keep an eye on Libya over in North Africa. Now, you probably haven't heard a whole lot about Libya over the past few years, ever since Muammar Gaddafi was deposed, but just so you know, right now a civil war continues to rage inside Libya, and Turkey and Russia both have boots on the ground in that country trying to exert their influence. So that is another powder keg in the Middle East, North Africa region. One last thing I want to mention is the possibility that Israel will annex parts of the biblical heartland, Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank, and also parts of the Jordan Valley region. Now, Israel would exercise sovereignty over these pivotal regions. Prime Minister Netanyahu has made clear that he intends to do that. He has set July 1st as a potential date. Already the world is howling, as to be expected. The European Union, there's even been some talk about sanctions against Israel in some European quarters. Even Jordan, which Israel has had a peace treaty with since 1994, is levying some very strong threats about annexation. But the Netanyahu government says, look, this is an opportunity that we must take advantage of. The United States has been seen as supportive of annexation, but now there are some reports that the Trump administration, or at least some officials, are saying, hey, hit the brakes a little bit and slow down to Israel. So we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, again, these are portions, folks, of the biblical heartland, Judea and Samaria, with large Jewish populations, hundreds of thousands of Israeli Jews living in those areas. So let's keep an eye on that as well. The last time we were told that the Middle East was going to erupt in chaos over Israeli moves was when the U.S. Embassy, which wasn't an Israeli move, that was a U.S. move, but when the U.S. Embassy opened in Jerusalem back in May 2018, the mainstream media and the pundits were telling us that the sky was on fire, the Middle East was going to collapse, it was going to erupt into a major war because the embassy was moving to Jerusalem. Guess what? That didn't happen. Quite the opposite. And the main reason, folks, is because the likes of Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf states are much more concerned about the rising Shia Iranian crescent that's looming over the region than they are about the embassy moving to Jerusalem or even annexation. And that's a fact. So keep that in mind. Keep an eye on that this summer. I'm coming to you. It's early June now, and we're looking ahead at the next few months. Keep the Middle East in your prayers. Keep Israel in your prayers. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. That is a biblical mandate. Pray for America. We could use it right now as well. And it's, some people can get very discouraged and down about what they're seeing in the world right now, but I am holding on to the Lord Jesus, the author and finisher of my faith in these difficult times. I believe the promises of God Almighty in His Word that He will never leave us or forsake us. When the waves are crashing and the storms are raging, Jesus is in the boat with us. And that's a very comforting thought. Not only comforting, it gives me a boldness and a confidence to face what is coming in the future. For Zion's sake, we will not keep silent. By the way, if you want more analysis on what's happening in the Middle East, be sure to register for our QAEDA, Christians United for Israel, virtual summit. That's June 28th to the 30th. From the comfort of your living room, you'll see just a host of great speakers: Dennis Prager, Benny Gantz, Reuven Rivlin, Ambassador Nikki Haley, Ambassador David Friedman, Ron Dermer, a who's who of decision makers and influencers in the Israel-U.S. relationship. Folks, this is really good stuff. June 28th to the 30th. You see the information there on your screen. Register for our QAEDA virtual summit. Until next time, hang in there. As we say every time here on the newscast, as all the chaos unfolds, God still sits on the throne. He neither slumbers nor sleeps, and He's got your back. So hang in there. God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace.